Bava Metzia General Introduction. Bava Metzia, literally, the middle gate, is the second tractate of Seder Nezikin, literally damages. The group of tractates known as the Bavas, Bava Kama, Bava Metzia, and Bava Basra, are, according to the Amora Rav Yosef, not really three separate tractates, but three parts, each consisting of 10 chapters of a single large tractate called Nezikin. See Bava Kama 102a, see Ramban to Shavuos 2a. Bava Metzia deals with aspects of civil law other than damages, such as the rules for returning lost items, which is called Hashavat Aveidah, the obligations and responsibilities of Shomrim, who are people entrusted with the safekeeping of other people's property, the prohibition of Onah, which is unfair pricing, the prohibition against taking interest on a loan, which is called Ribit, the hiring of artisans, workers, and animals, loans of objects for use, sharecropping agreements, rental of apartments, and various related topics. These topics will be explained in the chapters that deal with them. The rest of this introduction will focus on some of the general rules of monetary laws and lawsuits. Muhzak, possession. One of the most basic principles of Torah civil law is the legal principle of muhzak, possession. The general rule in monetary cases is that the burden of proof is on the one who wants to take property from his fellow. This means that when a person claims that money or property being held by someone else really belongs to him, the person holding the property, the muhzak, does not have to prove that he has the right to keep it. Rather, the person trying to take it from him must prove his right to take it. The Gemara in Bava Kama 46b holds this principle to be so logically self-evident that no scriptural basis for it is necessary. Nevertheless, there are Tanaim who maintain that in cases where something happened that might affect the ownership of property, but it is impossible for either of the parties to know what really happened, the property in question is divided between them, even though it is presently in the possession of one of them. Several Mishnahs in this tractate and in Tractate Bava Kama follow this view. For example, Bava Kama 5:1 and Bava Metzia 8:2 and 4. Kinyan, another basic principle of Torah civil law, is that a change of ownership must happen through a legally recognized act known as kinyan. This act is performed by the person acquiring the property, with the consent of the person transferring it to him. Different types of property are subject to different kinds of kinyanim. See Kedushin 1:4 and 5. Until the proper kinyan has been made, the property remains under the ownership of the one who had it until now, even if the buyer has paid for it. And once a buyer has made the proper kinyan, ownership of it goes over to him, even if he has not yet paid for it. This is true not just for sales, but for gifts as well. In the case of ownerless property, hefker, until the proper kinyan is made, the property remains ownerless, even if someone is holding it. Therefore, if another person comes along and makes a proper kinyan on it, he becomes the owner. Rules of evidence of oaths. As is true in most other areas of Torah law, monetary obligations can be established only on the basis of the testimony of two valid witnesses. One witness cannot prove a claim. Nevertheless, the testimony of a single witness is enough to force the person being sued to swear that he does not owe the money. See Shavuos 48. If he does not swear, he must pay the claim. See Shavuos 41a and Rambam Hilchas To'ein Venitan 1:4. There are also other situations where a person must swear to avoid having to pay. Someone who admits to part of a claim but denies the other part of it must swear about the part he denies in order to avoid paying for it. See Chapter 4, Mishnah 7. Also, a shomer who claims that the item he was keeping for someone was lost in a way that would exempt him from paying for it must swear that this is what happened, and that he did not take the item to use for himself. See Chapter 3, Mishnah 1.